Hello everyone, welcome to Lockdown Sees World. Today we talk about the founder of modern America, Theodore Roosevelt, one of the greatest US presidents. His image, together with those of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Abraham Lincoln, has been carved on Rushmore Mountain, South Dakota. His life was full of legends, a resemblance of American spirit, epitomized in four aspects: the spirit of self-improvement, pursuit of social progress, focus on naval development, and fruitful diplomacy. First, about his spirit of self-improvement. On October 27, 1858, Theodore Roosevelt was born in a rich family. As a child, he was weak and feeble and suffered from asthma. Nothing tough could be done. Yet he was fond of nature and outdoor activity. And to prevent to be bullied, his father asked him to do more exercises and to learn boxing, which became his lifelong hobby. In college, he joined lots of sports in Harvard University and never gave up, that even if he had some heart problems. And then he gradually grew up to be strong and with muscles and like a leopard. And on February 14, 1884, and Valentine's Day, and his first wife, Alice Lee, passed away after giving birth to their daughter. And his mother also died on the same day. The tremendous loss made him in great sorrow. So he quit his job and retreated to a ranch in North Dakota as a cowboy. 2 years later, and he slowly recovered and traveled to Europe and climbed on Mont Blanc near the border of France and Italy, and accepted as a member of British Royal Society. Later on, he resumed himself with energy, and even after working as a US president, he always rode horse with his staffs. In 1908, his left eye was accidentally hit and hurt in a boxing drill, and after his presidency, he went to Africa for scientific research in March 1909, and made a lot of scientific specimens for American National Museum and the Natural History Museum. In 1913, he trekked to rainforest Brazil for explorations, and finished many invaluable academic reports. And one of the local rivers was named after him. He was a man of success by his hard working, so he believed that great assets were being strong and taking challenges. In his personal view to China and Japan, he was affirmative to Japanese national character for good at learning and belligerent, and also gradually taking modern civilization. He disdained China's Qing government and believed China was a nation of backwardness and without typical character of civilization nor morale for social progress. It rich but was weak and ineffective. He often took China's defeat as a bad example and warned Americans far from China's mindset in keeping status quo. Later, with China's nationalism weakened and the constant protest from the people, and his opinions about China changed more or less, and realized that China's patriotism was burgeoning and promising. And Roosevelt's pursuit for social progress. In 1895, Theodore Roosevelt was appointed as a head chief of New York Police Bureau, and he did overhaul reform to the rampant police corruption. First step by hiring with high standards and regulations, rather than by the party affiliation or personal favoritism. He also hired more police officers from minority groups and more females, and restrained police officers from doing business. When he worked as commissioner of U.S. Civil Service and New York governor, he advocated social fairness against corruption. Theodore Roosevelt was also an advocate of environmental protection. In March 1903, he set the first national bird reservation area in Florida. And in 1905, the U.S. Bureau of Forest Service came into being in charge of American woods and lions. The national parks and reservations he had established covered about 194 million acres, including the Grand Canyon National Park. During his time, American economy developed very fast and emerged commercial empires and monopoly trusts in all trades, yet with decline and bankruptcy of small businesses. In December 1901, he urged the U.S. Congress to manage and control business monopoly, and he sued more than 40 large enterprises based on Sherman Antitrust Act. In 1904, the U.S. government extended permanently the Chinese Exclusion Act, and in 1905, the Chinese began their embargo to U.S. products and tremendously afflicted U.S. export to China, which forced Roosevelt to change. He agreed the remnant of the Boxer indemnities as the funds for Chinese students overseas study in America, and educate the new generation of the Chinese intellectuals for further spiritual control of China in the future. Next, about his development of U.S. Navy. In American Civil War, two of his uncles served in South Confederate Navy. One was Admiral James Bullock. The other was Irving Bullock, a midshipman in the battleship Alabama. And it was he that fired the largest shell of his battleship during the war. Under their influences, Roosevelt was fond of Navy and naval war in 1880, and he got to know the U.S. Navy captain, Alfred Mahan, who was the advocate of sea power. He believed who controlled the sea, who would control the world. If America hoped to be equal with the European powers, the only way was to increase its own sea power. In 1881, at the age of 23, Theodore Roosevelt published his first book, The Naval War of 1812, when he took the teaching position in law school of Columbus University, and it became the textbook in U.S. naval colleges. In 1897, Theodore Roosevelt was appointed as Assistant Secretary of the U.S. Navy, and he developed to modernize American fleet and made war readiness for Spanish-American War, and America's being one of the world powers. In April 1898, under his instigation, U.S. Congress declared war to Spain and took over Cuba and the Philippines. In December 1907, he dispatched 16 American battleships for a global tour to demonstrate its sea power to the world. Meanwhile, to warn Japan that the dominant force in Asia-Pacific was America rather than Japan. Finally, about his achievement in diplomacy. One of Roosevelt's favorite mottos was speak softly and carry a big stick, you will go far, which came to be the future guideline for U.S. diplomacy, the stick and carrot. His greatest success in diplomacy was cutting the Panama Canal, which shortened the water road for about 8,000 miles. It's about 14,000 kilometers from New York to San Francisco, and increased 5% for American GDP annually. Initially, Panama was a province of Colombia. In 1881, France began the project of Panama Canal. It failed due to the issue of design. In 1902, America and Colombia reached an agreement and resumed the project. Yet soon, Colombia changed its mind and hoping to get extra $10 million from America, which was denied. America then instigated Panama to be independent. During the following bombing from Colombia Navy, and one Chinese was killed in Panama City. Americans finally got the privilege to cut and hold the canal, which started in 1904 and accomplished in 1914. With its growing influences in the Pacific area, America paid more attention to the affairs concerned and proclaimed its commercial interests there couldn't be infringed. In 1905, Japan won the Russo-Japanese War, and Roosevelt foresaw the possibility of Japan's future threat to America. He preferred the war balance between Russia and Japan in Asia Pacific and mediated the Treaty of Portsmouth, in which Russia recognized Japan's dominance in Korea and the south part of Sakhalin Island ceded to Japan, and China's Liaodong Peninsula and parts of railroad rights transferred to Japan from Russia, and Roosevelt won Nobel Peace Prize in 1906. In 1907, Japan and Russia reached a mutual agreement promising to maintain their separate privileges in Manchuria. Japan gave up its former guarantee to America and expelled the U.S. Commerce League. Japan's emerging power gradually became the menace to U.S. interest in Philippines and its national security. From the portfolios of Theodore Roosevelt, it can be seen that his spirit of self-improvement, pursuit of social progress, and focus on naval development and his fruitful diplomacy. And his personal accomplishment and also made him the founder of modern America. Here is the end of today's program, and thank you for your joining in, and I will see you next time.